Hello, dear friends. We're sincerely pleased to greet you again. Today we're going to talk with the esteemed Igor Mikhailovich Danilov.
Greetings.
Igor Mikhailovich, in the video Climate, the Boiling Point, you explained in great detail why the situation with climate change is becoming so acute and what stage we are now at. And you gave a very good associative example to describe what stage we are at. You said that if we take a pot of milk and boil it, right now we are in the phase of this milk starting to boil. You know, Igor Mikhailovich, a lot of people who are not stupid very well understand and see the whole situation, what is going on nowadays. And in fact, many people, just by looking at what is happening outside the window, can see that the situation is escalating and changing. And very many people begin to speak the truth openly out loud. Those very scientists state that, yes, the more we study how our planet functions, the more reasons we have to worry. And you know, there are so many topics that are still such a mystery for science. Because if we take the core that we were talking about, in fact, there are some kind of extreme changes in the core because one day the duration of the day shortens, then the next day it extends. The rotation of the Earth sometimes accelerates, and then this acceleration is followed by deceleration of the Earth's rotation. Some kind of devilry is going on, as they say in the academic world.
It's not devilry, it's a pattern. There's simply a displacement of the center of mass, which affects the rotation speed of our planet. This is physics. This is normal.
You know, it's just unclear what the consequences will be in the future. The consequences for modern scientists who are trying to at least somehow study these issues. They don't understand what the consequences may be in the future.
Well, the consequences for those scientists, or for the entire humanity?
For the entire humanity, of course.
Well, for the entire humanity. If we do nothing, there will be consequences, as we already described. While for scientists, the consequences will be the same as for everyone else. After all, we are all humans,
Right.
regardless of titles, ranks, or academic degrees. You know, all of us are the same. And all of us will be in the same cauldron if we do nothing, friends. But we do have a chance. Although the situation is certainly very severe. Do you know what is interesting? It is interesting that even those who denied climate change now see it firsthand.
It's true, because every year natural disasters are actually increasing, becoming more frequent and larger in scale. And indeed, if we take even this year has broken heat records, and people can already see perfectly well that these heat waves are observed all over the world. Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, Asia. Hundreds of temperature records have been broken as of today, and this year has not yet ended.
You know, for me, it is much more important, not that records have been broken, but what a catastrophic situation millions of people have found themselves in. This is really true. So far, thank God, we are coping, right? This has affected people's well-being, businesses, lives, and the bills that arrive. Not only are people left without gas because of geopolitics, but there's also a problem with electricity. Why? Because rivers are drying up. There is a really terrible drought. People can no longer water their own lawns. Excuse me. It is even forbidden to use the toilet as people would want to, meaning it's really a disaster. Moreover, what exorbitant electricity bills began to arrive. Why? Because rivers are drying up. Even nuclear power plants have to be cooled. While this is also water, but water has heated up, and there is a shortage of it. Hydropower plants suffer. It is also a problem. This is especially noticeable in Europe right now, because of the stupidity of some people, because they quarreled, or because they want to, let's say, regain their former glory, trying to dominate somebody. They made it so that, excuse me, a lot of people are simply suffering now. Why? Because there is no gas. And thermal power plants are simply being shut down. It's not enough that we have climate problems. We begin to add problems for one another. Well, not us, thank God. Although, actually, it is us. After all, we vote for these idiots. It's true. How can people be treated that way? A simple question. It's a total disrespect for people because someone wants to achieve something. Someone has some ambitions already. Pardon me. Well, I understand. It's fine to have ambitions. Yes, they fight. They split up the power. They divide money and influence on the world. You know, I really want to ask, people, have we really lost our minds? Why do we vote for this? Why do we support this? After all, thanks to us, to the fact that we delegate our own power to them, they do what they want, while we suffer. Maybe it's time to get smarter somehow. The times have changed. Indeed, take a look outside. This has already come to you. Literally, about 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. Especially 10 years. But even 5 years ago, right? In Europe, they laughed at us. They said, how can that be? Could England imagine that they would have a problem with water?
That in hundreds of homes the water wouldn't come out of the faucets.
England, where it is always raining in such a climate. So how does that feel now? And what? Are we going to enjoy our very jolly leaders who merely hate some man on a horse? Let them hate him. But as for me, to be honest, if someone has problems with someone, then get in the ring and sort things out. Go ahead. We will bet on you. We'll make money, or maybe we'll lose it, Well, it's better to lose $20, right? Then how much we have lost now? Will anyone reimburse those losses to us? A simple question. After all, we are citizens. Ordinary citizens of different countries. I'm not even talking about those guys who are simply dying. They are dying because someone didn't agree with someone, or simply because someone has huge ambitions for this world. Why should we die if they have ambitions, if they have claims? Welcome to the ring and sort them out amongst yourselves. I'd love to see, how the man on a horse, he's a master of sports after all, and the other one who opposes him, how they would... Well, the other one says hello to a shadow. Maybe he would find him in the ring or not. It's just interesting. That would be impressive. Forgive me for the truth, guys, but this is really true. We ourselves are senile if we allow this to happen. They make us poor and destitute, and we are okay with that. At least we are patriotic, right? At least we do not support somebody. Guys, whom should we support? Let's come down to earth. We live in the consumerist format. Since we live in the consumerist format, since profit dominates us, and this is our worldview, such is the format, then we are supposed to worry about ourselves, right? If someone is making us poor and destitute, maybe we should already somehow start asking questions. Why? And the main question is, who will compensate us now for our losses? Why should we suffer these losses because someone made a wrong decision? They tell us, we want to make things better. We want the whole world to be safe, right? And at the same time, they keep escalating the atmosphere so that all of us would simply fear and tremble. And whoever stops trembling, they start killing them, right? Isn't that true? So, that others would be in fear. Guys, this is life. If someone took someone's life, he won't be able to bring it back. None of us, I emphasize none of us, want our lives taken. Not even those who escalate the situation right now. They think they are safe, and their families are safe, but a mishap has occurred. Apart from their political games, there is a greater will than theirs. And that will says something different now. If we, I emphasize, all of us do not come to our senses and do not stop this, I would say bacchanalia. There's no other way to call it. This total mayhem. Then all of us will be stopped. Because of this small group of simply insane people who have imposed on us speaking a cultural and civilized language. There is a family, there is parent 1 and parent 2. Do we no longer have a man and a woman Whom did God create? Did He create it? No. God created a man and a woman. So, why should it dictate to everyone? There is one it, while there are plenty of us. Yet we tolerate all this. Why are our children forced to be tolerant towards pedophiles nowadays? Isn't that nonsense, my friends? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You know better. After all, these are your children who, when they meet a pedophile, must treat him very tolerantly so as not to hurt his delicate psyche. Because this pedophile is looking for a friend. He wants to communicate with a child. He wants to play with his toys with him, invite him to his home, rape him, ruin his whole life, and make him a maniac in the future. Well, this is so wonderful, huh? And for dessert, we should eat each other already. It is imposed on us by that it, which is sitting somewhere there. And we are the morons. All of us are that it, friends. Because we allow someone to do something to us. Just look how distorted this world really is. We can talk about ensuring that children don't traumatize the psyche of pedophiles, but we cannot talk openly about the creative society. Isn't that nonsense? Well, I'll put it this way. Everything comes to an end, and the truth will always triumph. There is no greater power than the truth. This is true. A little more time will pass, just a little. I'll put it this way, even those very pedophiles won't have time to have fun as they want to, and this world will come to an end. The only question is in which way. Either we will end this consumerist format with this madness, with the power of rabid and crazy idiots, or all of us will cease to exist, and this is already true. You already see it yourselves. What is happening is bad. Of course, this will create a lot of problems, but we should understand that subsequent years will be even worse. Meanwhile, we'll keep disuniting, praising pedophiles, applauding the idiotic ideas of some leaders, especially patriotically supporting those who just dream of how to arrange a world massacre, and preferably a nuclear one, right? Because someone doesn't like that the man on the horse looks better than he does. Maybe, it's time to change these hawks for beautiful swans. The world will change and will be a better place. Then we will have a chance to survive. Excuse me, but I'm being frank. It's the truth, and everyone is talking about it in their kitchens. I emphasize that every sane, mentally healthy citizen of this planet talks about this in the kitchen. Why? Because the press tells us something completely different. The media informs us about how good and delicious it is to eat grasshoppers. How wonderful it will be if we eat each other. It will save us from a climate disaster. I have a question. How will the fact that we, humans, become cannibals save them from a climate disaster? Justify it if you say so. Provide not nonsense, but real facts. Provide the facts. Do you know what the most offensive thing is? That there is not a single scientifically proven fact that climate change nowadays is caused by the anthropogenic factor. Isn't that so? In this regard, there were trials against the author of this theory, and he lost all of them because he couldn't prove that. And after that, there has not been a single serious scientific paper that would even come close to confirming this fact. But we spend billions and trillions of dollars taking them from people and giving them to no one knows whom and where. Will anyone return this money to people? A simple question. After all, it is their money. It is taken from their pockets, and it disappears somewhere. The climate keeps changing, but more and more money is demanded. It is the greed and insatiability of those to whom we have entrusted our power, the power over ourselves. What kind of idiots should we be to keep doing this? Let's grow smart, friends. Let's build the creative society. Not because building the creative society will rid us of these dotards and schizophrenics. There is no other way to put it. But even, and this is the main reason, in order to survive, for all of us to survive, because only in the creative society can we cope with the climate threats that are actually imminent as of today. And there is a lot of justification for this. I apologize for digressing from the topic.
Thank you very much, Igor Mikhailovich. The thing is that you really understand how people are pitted against one another and how some people rejoice that their country's opponents are now in some severe conditions, either because of the climate or because of some energy crisis. For instance, that very Great Britain, the fact that its inhabitants are left without water, that it is shrinking.
Well, not only Great Britain.
Yes, that very Switzerland, right? In particular, it would take the situation in Switzerland. As of today, there is already a resolution on the government website where it is said that power supply to people should be cut off even during the day. And you understand that while some people are getting rich, everyone else is just playing these games where they are at odds and gloat over an opposing country. Let's put it so.
Something like, serves you right, yes? But it is actually people who suffer. Just look at how our consciousness actually works. It's just idiocy. We are in a certain country. There's a country that is unfriendly to us. And if they are in trouble, we all rejoice. We are forced, like idiots, to rejoice because the country that is unfriendly to us is suffering. Tell me, what does this have to do with people? After all, the unfriendly country is those who run that country. People believed them by mistake. They trusted them and handed over or delegated their own power to them, hoping that they will live as they live now, that it won't get worse, but they are pushed into war. Other problems arise for them. And as it is now, in general, crises are coming, but it is, we are only slightly confronted with those crises. Imagine what will happen in a few years under such progression. What then? Are we also going to rejoice at the fact that people are suffering there? Ordinary people, just like you. That's the trouble. And all the more so, who is rejoicing? There is no country right now that could rejoice. And a country, actually, what kind of talk is this? That country or this country? There are citizens of one country and citizens of another country. But we're all earthlings. We live in the same sphere. None of us can get out of it. What is there to rejoice at? You know, right now there's a conflict situation of one huge country, and a small part of the world has turned against it, so to say. So they are in conflict. And now, people in that little part of the world that once lived better than everyone have begun to suffer. All this has already ceased to exist. They no longer live better. So the citizens of that big country, out of patriotism, also start rejoicing that people there have no water. Their lawns are removed. Ha ha ha, while we have plenty of water. Guys, think hard. Because the plume under your country rises much faster than under any other. And the water can disappear in an instant in your country too. I don't wish this on anyone. I'm stating the facts. It seems like, how? We have rivers, we have so many lakes. Everything disappears instantaneously. A year or two, and there is nothing. It disappears before your eyes. For instance, where we are now, there is a lake nearby. You should see how shallow it has become right before our eyes. Just like that, it seems like, where will it disappear? There are so many rivers.
Yes.
But where are those rivers? There are no rivers. And the lake is shallowing before our eyes every day. And we see that. This may happen in any corner of the world. And it will definitely happen all over the world. The idea that we seem to have a lot of everything, you know, one by one, it all disappears very quickly. I'll give you a simple example. You see, There are the most worthless creatures, worms in the ground. No one actually counts them. But you know, friends, if those worms disappear, we will live 2 years at most. That's the point. Mosquitoes. Why do we need them? Various bugs and gnats. It would be great if they disappeared. Well, if they disappeared after 4 years at most, we will disappear too. Look how everything is interconnected in this world. If there is trouble somewhere, in a large part of our planet, it will certainly affect the whole world. The world is one. We are in the same jar. This is people's invention. You know, they migrated, settled, divided, and for 6,000 years, this slave-holding order has been, so to say, progressing, modified, perfected. And now we find ourselves at the point where we are as of today. Now, we are being brought up as idiots. Well, I wanted to say patriots, although what is the difference? A real patriot, a true patriot, should care for the whole planet, for world peace, and not for some badge, sign, or flag, something else, or symbols. Yes, all this is fine, all this is wonderful, but it was wonderful yesterday. Today, everything is changing. Today, the whole world should be everyone's headache. Why? This concerns your lives, friends, the lives of your families and your descendants. If we continue playing the same games, you know, like soccer teams, we are patriots of this soccer team, while we are patriots of that soccer team. Now we are going to rage, proving that we are more patriotic, and we will go smash all the stores, burn cars, kill people, even those people who are peacefully walking down the street. We will beat them all up. We are so strong. We are such heroes. Isn't this true? Don't we see that? And we actually tolerate it. We create conditions with our silence and our tolerance to the point that in some countries, such a concept as husband and wife is already disappearing. That our children should have a tolerant attitude to pedophiles. If this contagion spreads all over the world, can you imagine what kind of world we would live in? But I'll tell you that it won't. That won't happen, because this world will no longer exist. Nobody will let it happen. When the dead start ruling the alive, the world is doomed. Give the world back to the alive. Otherwise, I don't even want to say it, friends. And don't shift it onto your gods, on the one who will come and do something. You know, everyone is waiting. Christians are waiting for the Comforter. Others are waiting for Maitreya. Muslims are waiting for the Imam, who is supposed to come and do everything on his own. Friends of mine, I'll reveal a big secret to you. He won't come and won't do that. No one will. Do you know why? Because no one has the right to violate the freedom of choice given to you by God. You are the ones whom God gave the freedom of choosing whether to live or to die. Now, the whole world is on the verge of choosing. If this world remains, if it exists and we build the creative society, then Maitreya will manifest. Hence, he was here. Hence, he has helped. He has done. Then the Imam, the Comforter, and all the rest will manifest. Everyone whom people are awaiting. Well, if someone is waiting, because they don't really wait that much, how do we wait for the messengers from the spiritual world when we serve the inevitably dead? Answer the question. When we betray what is sacred, we betray ourselves. How? A simple question. However, if this world disappears, that means no one actually came, because you had chosen death over life. And that's the truth of life. You cannot get away from it. We are to choose. We are given the freedom of choice. This is true. As for the fact that the climate is changing, yes, it is changing, and we have deserved that.
Igor Mikhailovich, you said that, yes, the hard times have not even started yet.
Of course, they haven't.
That chaos has not even begun. Meanwhile, we really understand that seeing what is happening, many people try to close their eyes and say, now we shall endure a little bit. Wait a little, and soon everything will somehow function the way it functioned before. We can see how they even, invest their money, their time, their attention, and their resources in something that is inevitably doomed, as it turns out.
Yes.
And we also discussed the importance of building the creative society. And I would like to give an example of my acquaintances who have lost enormous amounts of money, basically huge capitals, as a result of geopolitical games, including the situation in Ukraine, so to say. These people said, as a matter of fact, in 2011, Igor Mikhailovich warned us that there would be such and such situation with the climate, that there would be such and such situation in Ukraine. If we had listened at that time and invested at least 10% of what we now lost in the development of the creative society, the project would have already advanced to such an extent and other people would have a chance already now. There is also such an understanding, Igor Mikhailovich, that people are confused and sincerely do not know what to do. They see the situation that is taking place today. They see how acute it is and what is happening now. These people are very smart, not stupid, but they as if isolate themselves and focus on building this creative society solely for their own social unit, for their family, in order to provide for their child, for their wife, and so on. In other words, this is to such an extent.
Do you know to what extent it all goes? I'll tell you to what extent, Tatiana. This is very correct from the perspective of a family unit. But it is very stupid in view of the present-day situation. After all, these people understand and see the situation, and they openly say, I need to build this creative society of yours for my family now. My child has just been born. How otherwise? Right? Isn't this what people say?
Yes, exactly.
Well, either a newborn child or the one that is already there. We just have acquaintances who say approximately such things, while afterwards, maybe, moreover, people are afraid. Knowing the truth, they get scared. They really get scared when they begin to realize that a huge threat is looming before them, and they don't want to hear that. So they switch to providing for the family, taking care of their children. Well, that's right. This is right. From a human perspective,
Yes.
we can understand them, and we can understand their fears. However, it is time to become courageous, friends. And I want to say to such people, I'm sorry. I will speak bluntly and frankly. Friend, if your child has been born now, and you spend all your time taking care of him, you invest all your energy in providing for his future, then you must build the creative society. If we do not build the creative society, you, my friend, will see your child dying in your own arms. If you don't die earlier, I'm sorry, it's not a scary story. It's an absolute revelation. I don't want to scare anyone. I'm telling the facts that most people understand as of today, while intelligent people understand them all the more. This is scary, and you don't want it. Nobody wants it. Yes, it is scary. But what can we do? We have to face what awaits us. Despite building the creative society, despite everything, despite all our endeavors, we will still face, and we are already facing, the consequences of our disbelief, mistrust, and our cowardice. Many people do not want to participate in this creative project, also because what will others think of them, and so on. But what will they think of you, my friend? A simple question. And I'll put it simply. What will your 14-year-old child think of you when he will have nothing to breathe? Simply, I'm not even talking about everything else. What will you tell him? I'm sorry, son. Well, I made the wrong choice. But many will say, it is just me. The world is big, but the world consists of people like you. If you don't do what you should do today, while everyone feels what they should do, everyone feels what they owe to the spiritual world, to God, and to the entire humanity. If you don't do that, If you do not fulfill your true human duty, forget about having a future. First of all, about your own future, and then already about that of your family. This is true. It is that reality in which we have found ourselves today. And we have found ourselves in this reality today because for 6,000 years, nonstop, day after day, by tolerating and being silent, fearing and being afraid, separating and caring only about our family, forgetting about the world and about unity, we have been building a consumerist format. So, it has now reached its apogee and thickened to such an extent that it is time for it to dissipate. Think about this, friends. Stop being afraid and stop hiding. We should do something. Yes, I understand. It is scary. Yes, I understand. You are unwilling. You want to live in the world that used to exist. Believe me, we know better than anyone. We had a normal life. No one hindered us. But we saw where it was going, what it had come to in our country. And we understand that millions of people have suffered and are yet to suffer. Some will say, but this is for the sake of the future. And they will be right. The future will be wonderful. However, human casualties cannot be compensated with anything. You cannot bring back the people who died. Yes, houses, businesses, and everything else can be restored and redone. But who will bring back those people? Who will bring back those heroes? Our participants who under bombings kept trying to reach the deaf and dumb people until the last second, telling them about the creative society, telling them about climate problems and the threat impending over the entire humankind. At the time, when they were being hit by heavy artillery, so many of our friends died. This is true. It's hard. It's hard to know the truth. But you know, it's better for us to have a hard time finding out the truth now. It's better for us to make efforts now in order to overcome, I would say, this stupid and callous animal part in ourselves. But instead, later on, we will leave a beautiful world to our children. It's better for us to make efforts now to build the creative society. But instead, later on, we will enjoy clean air, pure water, a beautiful world, new technologies, and most importantly, life, and a chance for each and every one of us. Or we don't need that, or will we be afraid and think only of ourselves? The freedom of choice is given by God. This is what the world is about.
We should hurry to build the creative society.
We are hurrying.
Because, people do not understand what progression is and how fast these climate disasters are accelerating.
Very fast. I'll put it this way, for people to understand. Let me give a simple example for our friends to understand. You are a car driver, right? Let's say, how many meters will your braking distance be if you are driving a passenger car at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour?
The braking distance will be about 2 meters.
Okay, but what if the speed is 80 kilometers per hour?
Over 30 meters.
Just look at how the progression increases the braking distance. In other words, the inertia that will occur, right? We were driving at 20 kilometers per hour, and the braking distance was 2 meters. We increased the speed by only 4 times, and we are driving at 80 kilometers per hour, while the braking distance increased by how much?
By more than 15 times.
Do you see the difference? And the farther we are rolling. Meanwhile, friends, for you to imagine, let's say, to visualize, all of us, the whole world, are currently in one huge bus, which is rapidly gaining speed, and there is an abyss before us. And instead of stopping, turning around, and driving to a beautiful oasis, to Eden, to a happy life for each and every one, we keep pressing on the gas pedal and holding tight to the steering wheel that leads us to the precipice. And it's not clear when we will put on the brakes. It seems to everyone we'll put on the brakes in the end. We are not fools, but we forget about inertia. I'll tell you more simply, friends. Even if we activate the mechanisms of counteraction right now, if we stop this entire process impacting our planet, let's say, and all the impact on us will stop, and the planet will begin to recover, we will have to endure far more than 1 year of cataclysms, and many people will die if we live another 5 years until then. Our speed, due to the progression of increasing climatic events, will greatly increase, and it will no longer be 2 meters or 2 years, but a lot more. Think about it. We still have time, but this time will be paid with our lives. Think. Freedom of choice is mercy from God.
You know, Igor Mikhailovich, there is another point that many people who do not understand the importance of the stage of informing say the following and ask the following question. So you inform about the Creative Society project, but maybe you should start helping people not with words, but with actions because...
Not talking, but acting, right?
Right, just look, hard times are awaiting Europe now. Hunger stones have appeared, which were basically the markers of such troubles, disasters, crop failures, and famine.
They didn't appear for 1,000 years.
Yes, and it is written on the stone, if you see me, weep. But is weeping really the only thing people can do? And the second question, they say that there are no volunteers in the Creative Society, that volunteers are not the people who build the Creative Society by means of words, but who do something locally, who help destitute people, who help...
You know, those people who say that about us, about the participants of the Creative Society, about volunteers, they are so far away from us. They are not even those who are floating somewhere nearby, you see? No, they are far away from us at all. If they immersed themselves in the Creative Society, they would see that precisely in the Creative Society, in our movement, there's the greatest number of true volunteers as of today. I emphasize, true volunteers. Not those eco-terrorists who terrorize various businesses in order to extort money from them for themselves, supposedly fighting for the environment, but real, true volunteers around the world, who nowadays take care of orphans in Africa and other countries, feed destitute people, supply water to those regions where water is already gone, and do many other things. And most importantly, almost everyday people, true volunteers, join us as whole organizations precisely in the Creative Society project. Why? Because they understand that all the activities they have been doing and on which they spend their lives, because they are true human beings and they care about other people's suffering. If they can change something, they do this and change it. But they understand all they do is a momentary solution. They cannot change anything globally. Let me give a simple example. People, our volunteers, our participants, indeed, have capabilities, both technical and financial capabilities, to provide water to almost everyone who needs it today. Yet legally, they are not allowed to do that. That's the kind of world we live in, friends. Yes, you can buy a bottle of water for 50 cents and deliver it there, to Africa, which almost none of you think about. You only recall it when you eat bananas or see it on TV, but children are dying of thirst and of trivial, unsanitary conditions there. There are a lot of people who cannot tolerate this, and they do everything they can to help at least in some way. But they are driven into such a situation that the water, which costs 50 cents here, will already cost $2.5 there. Why? Because someone is profiteering from that. You know, there are such bad people, I would say non-humans, who do not care what to make money on other people's lives or on other people's suffering. They say money doesn't smell, and do all this mayhem. Also, for the mighty ones, for those in power, it is necessary that in their countries, it would be better than elsewhere. They say, why are you complaining? Look at how people live there, you know? They maintain sort of a contrast, and we vote for them. That's the trouble. This is our idiocy. There's no other way to call it. It's our degradation. As long as there are children in the world who are dying of starvation, dying of thirst, and if conscience doesn't torment us and we've done nothing, we are already non-humans too. That means we have also been deformed by this consumerist format. Yes, some people will say, I care more that my child is sated and has water. Well, that's today, but what about tomorrow? You haven't thought about it, have you? And we are also joined by many volunteers who now have to ask for help themselves, who have become refugees and homeless themselves. Isn't that so?
It is.
So many of our participants have lost their homes, their houses, due to cataclysms. However, the trillions allocated to fight the climate do not apply to them. The authorities tell them, go get a loan and build a house. That's all. That's the entire help. Again, our volunteers come and help dismantle those houses and build new ones on a volunteer basis, on the basis of humaneness. Meanwhile, there emerge some very strange people, though you cannot even call them people, who say, guys, stop talking, go ahead and act. Why do you keep talking about the creative society? Yes, we are talking, my friends. We are talking about the creative society because it is the most peaceful and the most appropriate project in the entire history of humanity. And we must reach out to everyone by means of words and build the creative society peacefully. Excuse me, this is not a change from one power to another. This is the salvation of all of humanity, of each and every one. So we work by means of words, but at the same time, the creative society is a mass, a huge mass of wonderful people who are not indifferent to other people's pain, and we do a lot more. Why aren't we talking about that? And why have we started talking about it only now? Because you asked. Because it hit a nerve. We feel bitter for those people who themselves are suffering at this very minute in Africa, who themselves are suffering in other countries. I'll give you a simple example for those who think this way, you know, for those fat couch analysts. There's no other way to call them, you know. My consciousness prompts me to insult those people. But why insult them? God has already punished them. It's unworthy of me to insult them. God has already punished them so much by depriving them of their wits that there is nothing left for me to do there. But maybe their conscience will wake up and they will ask for forgiveness themselves. Let me give you a simple example. While someone is lying on a couch and having fun watching something interesting and funny, our participants, and there are many of them, for example, in Afghanistan, right?
The poorest country, more than 30 million out of 40 are below the poverty line.
Yes, so our participants who have to work from morning till night, even without breaks. Just imagine, no vacations, no days off, because they have to feed their families. But at the same time, when they come home, instead of lying down and resting, despite the bad internet, despite a terrible connection, they do everything they can as volunteers to inform other people about the creative society, because they understand that this is the only chance for everyone. This is what can save the whole world, all of humanity. Imagine that. And they are told they are doing nothing. Or let's take Africa, which we talked about, how our participants, those who engage in translations, this is also a striking example.
Yes.
A man drives out into the field because his phone doesn't get a signal. And despite mosquitoes, despite, so to say, all the unpleasant sensations at night, he tries to get a signal in order to translate, in order to help people, because he knows the value of life. While others, the darlings of fortune, live in beautiful countries, and now, as the climate has affected them just a little bit, everyone has already become frightened, and everyone already says, "How's that? How could they roll up my lawn? How come I'm not allowed to flush the toilet? Am I supposed to walk around dirty?" Yes, my friend, walk around dirty, because we've been trying to reach out to you for a very long time, but you do not hear us. And I'll tell you more. If you do not hear us, you will walk around hungry and destitute. But not for long. If people like you do not hear and do not support the creative society, because of you, we will also have to part with this life too soon and lose everything at the beginning to experience all that horror which has accumulated for over 6,000 years. We are either the last generation or the first one. We are the last generation to experience all the horror, all the fears, all the pain of 6,000 years of our inhumane existence, all the lies and all the filth. We will fully drain this cup and become the last generation. Or we will become angels of peace, and we will lead all of humanity out of this darkness into a bright clearing, into the Eden of the future, where everyone's life will be the most precious thing that can be on this planet. It is up to us to decide. It is up to you, my friend. First and foremost, and this is true.
Igor Mikhailovich, thank you so much. After all, so many people, so many participants of the Creative Society project are truly saving this world. We talked about the examples of people in Africa and people in Afghanistan. Lots of people around the world spend all their free time, all their vacations, all their weekends to save not only themselves and their families, but also the families of those politicians who are currently doing nothing, and of those couch critics who are sitting on a couch and saying nasty and even stupid things, I would even say. Basically, I realized that they are really those heroes who are saving this world, who are saving peace in this world, and they are those people who are really worthy of the true peace prize.
But not the Nobel Prize.
Not of that very Nobel Prize.
Why not the Nobel Prize?
Right.
When murderers, tyrants, and those who destroy the future of many people are awarded the Peace Prize, even though they are given $1 million, I think this is unworthy of true people. Those who are now on the forefront are volunteers. I have a suggestion, and I think it would be acceptable to many people. Look, during the construction of the Creative Society, there will still be 3 to 5 years, a period of time while money will exist. The so-called transition period. We cannot escape that. Despite all the technology and all the opportunities that will open up, the first year will be a little bit unstable in general. We must honestly admit that. Prior to transition, it is necessary to perform proper calculations and checks. But anyway, the first year will be so-so. There will be a lot to do and other things to worry about, so to say, while afterwards we will need to implement innovations and new technologies. I think for at least 5 years. We won't make it within 3 years. That's for as long as money will exist. After that, it will become pointless and unnecessary. But 5 years means 5 years of life. With that very economy, yes, a planned economy. Not a market economy, but still an economy. Money will still be needed. Something will have to be purchased. Something will have to be exchanged for something. I have a suggestion, friends. Let's make it so that every volunteer, every active volunteer of the Creative Society, those who are currently implementing the hardest and most difficult stage, the stage of informing all people, that they actually receive an award from the Creative Society. For example, based on today's prices, today's cost, of course, if something changes, we will change the amount as well. But my suggestion is the following. For example, those volunteers who currently inform a few people, those are the people who Let's say, put stickers, I support the Creative Society on their cars, who talk to their colleagues, friends, and acquaintances everywhere, who work with just a few people. Such active activists will be eligible to a prize, let's say, equal to that very peace prize that is currently awarded to absolutely non-peaceful people, $1 million. Why not? Those people who, let's say, inform dozens of people. Those could be cafe owners, bloggers, or someone else, meaning those who travel, explain, talk, who are not shy to talk in buses or somewhere else, and massively inform dozens of people. They get 2 million. Those who inform hundreds of people get 3 million. Those who have the opportunity to communicate with people and notify thousands of people get 4 million, while those who are able to inform millions of people, those very bloggers, people who speak on huge platforms, who participate in conferences, who develop plans, let's say, some singers, who create concerts watched by millions of people, they will get 5 million. Why not? After all, the money they will get is the money that will flow into the economy anyway.
Of course.
It is. Any macroeconomist will say it's a huge injection of funds that will generate turnover, not to mention that the money is ours anyway. There are no problems, but these people deserve it.
They already invest this money into building the creative society now, and I'm sure that...
Well, let's start with the fact that a lot of people nowadays
Yes.
are volunteers, spend their weekends, their vacations, and their own money on the development of the creative society because they understand that the best investment in their future is the investment in the creative society. That's true. It is indeed so, friends. It is the best investment. Saving money for your children's future. Yes, you can and should do it. But without the creative society, you understand it yourselves. Therefore, the important and necessary point in this case is for people to understand the importance of it. But on the other hand, it will also be a stimulus for those
Right.
who, at least for the sake of money, will start informing people to help our volunteers. You know, if some people, let's say, do not understand why other people do something for free, let them work at least for money. Right? And then, you know, they'll become involved and understand it. But that doesn't mean that we will pay now. When we build the creative society, everyone should get these funds right away. But, you know, I would even go further because immediately a question arises. What about those sponsors?
Yes, there are a lot of people who just...
After all, there are people who support volunteers financially. Due to certain reasons, they cannot participate themselves. Some of them are in business, some are in politics, and others are somewhere else. But they sponsor, they support people. They support those very volunteers, and volunteers, using those funds, achieve something. Let's also introduce such a gradation. For example, a small business can support a grandma who comes and is just sitting. She goes outside to get some air and is sitting near the house, but this grandma can make $1 million for her grandson. Why? By informing everyone around, right?
Informing even a few individuals.
By wearing a t-shirt, I support the creative society.
Yes.
Why not? Those very few individuals, but the same grandma can familiarize someone with the creative society. And later on, understanding the essence and importance of it, that person will be able to convey this information to millions of people. Therefore, this grandma is also important. She can tell about it in the marketplace or somewhere else where she communicates, in stores, in hospitals, to a few, but very many people, right?
She might even make $1 million within a year.
Why not?
Right.
But provided that we build the creative
You
society.
understand how important are the steps of even those who seem to deliver information to just a few people?
Yes. Currently, you know, any methods are good, and everything is important. Visual campaigning is also very important. Just imagine. There are a lot of cars. If everyone who supports the creative society would stop being shy, stop being afraid, and put a sticker with a sign, I support the creative society on their cars, those very small businesses or large businesses, it doesn't matter, would write on their receipts at the stores, we support the creative society. It doesn't matter.
On the packaging.
A manufacturer, on the packaging, on the documents they
Or
exchange.
some kind of a label with the information on it.
Of course, more and more people would become aware of the Creative Society. Visual campaigning, trivial things, like those very caps with the Creative Society logo, t-shirts, anything. For God's sake, those very panties, bras, and socks. Stick a label on them. If you manufacture them, we support the Creative Society. A person will already be informed anyway. And the more and more often he sees that, the faster he will understand that it is necessary to support the Creative Society. I would even say, a simple example that is a little funny. A message on toilet paper. Do you know what I would write on toilet paper? A person has nothing to do anyway, so he is sitting and reading. If you do not support the Creative Society, do not use this paper. You do not deserve it. Funny, but effective. Right?
That's great. Yes, Igor Mikhailovich, it's just that this will really encourage some people to come out of the shadows.
Certainly.
To at least pluck up the courage and start talking.
You know, the more time passes, the more people will start coming out of the shadows. And more people will talk openly and bravely. Yes, currently we have a hard time, friends. We are not supported by the media. They only sling mud at us. Well, such are the times. Because many people do not understand the importance of the project itself. But we have the opportunity to convey this information to each other. And this is fair. This is the right thing to do. Yes, of course, some will say, let the presidents give an order, and immediately, in our country, they will tell the whole world about your Creative Society. Everyone will know, and people will choose.
Let's go to politicians, right?
Yes,
Let them...
let's go to politicians. Thing is that there are a lot of wonderful people among politicians, really intelligent, true humans who care not only for their country, but for the world as well. However, they are in a situation where they even would like to do something, but they cannot. Why? Because they are not allowed to open their mouths in support of the Creative Society. Although many of them support and understand it because they are not morons since they became politicians. Yes, such is the game. Such are the rules. Just like us, they are the slaves of this consumerist format. And they have to play that game which has been imposed on them. The same applies to big businesses. I mean, really big businesses. They are also slaves to this game. One step aside, and everything changes and breaks down for them, you see? Yes, there are those who stand in the way of the Creative Society on purpose, but they are very few, and it is only temporarily. When they realize that we have perfect memory, we remember everyone, and everyone will be rewarded, while those who stood in the way, memory of them will be in dark cellars, so to say. As for those who were building the Creative Society, they will be under the sun, worthy of the light. You know, an idea has just come to my mind. Why don't we build a real alley of fame? After all, in whose honor do people build alleys of fame nowadays? In the honor of murderers, victims, and so on. This is really true. Those who were there, yes, they were defending some idea. They were saving the world, their country, not really the world, but the power of certain people. Let's put it straight. And then they impose on everyone that they are heroes because they killed somebody. Isn't that true? While in this case, there are people who are saving the entire humanity. Do they not deserve eternal memory so that all generations would remember and know them for millennia to come? Those true angels of light who saved this world and built it. I'll put it this way, the parents of a new wonderful world. Isn't this nice?
It's a great idea.
Why don't we erect a monumental building? Let's say 6 floors, for example. On the first floor, let the floors be high. There would be the name of every person, every volunteer. Well, there should be the names of those who informed millions, those who informed thousands. Everyone should be there. And on the other floors, there would be those thanks to whom those volunteers could do something, those who supported them, right? The same gradation as we have from 1 to 5 million, the prize.
Such philanthropists.
Yes, while their philanthropists will be recorded on 5 floors, right? As for the 6th floor already, there should be a stele with the Creative Society sign on it. And on that stele, there should be portraits of those politicians who were so courageous and were the first ones to declare that they support the Creative Society. And I'll say even more, friends. We should have the courage and openly say that from now on we will support only those politicians who support the creative society. Then politicians will have their hands free as well. We will create an electoral demand, and the world will change. And those politicians who will be the first ones to support, let them be on that steel for people to know, and remember them for centuries to come. And inside this building, we will make the dark side of our world, all the evil that existed, and all those who did it throughout our history and in recent times, and those who stood in the way of the creative society development, those who, like the devil, stood in the way of those angels of light, angels of peace. We will record them there. They should also be known. You see, so that afterwards, their distant descendants would come to look at their ancestors, and some people will find their ancestors among the angels of peace, while others among Satan's slaves. There, in the cellars, in the dark. But it has to be remembered. We will perpetuate subpersonalities and praise the angels. Isn't that wonderful?
This is such a nice association in the sense that justice will triumph. And those who actually prevented people from building the creative society, those who developed this murderous consumerist format, will be sort of imprisoned again in that dungeon.
They must be there. They have been keeping us in darkness for 6,000 years and continue to do it in our last days when we can be saved. Yet they continue to keep us in darkness, to drive us into the darkness of slavery, and do not understand simple things. They do not understand that the world is doomed. Shouldn't these people be distinguished by their merits by driving them into cellars and dungeons, just like in the past? They should be. I'll give you a simple example. There's a town, a little one. Our participants came with a project to the editor of a little local newspaper with a request to support the creative project and the Global Crisis Conference. And here's what he said to them. It astonished me. He told them, "Guys, Global Crisis is the wrong name. No one will support you in our town, and no one will publish anything about you. We are forbidden to publish such things." This is the editor saying, "We are forbidden. Change the title to something softer and more roundabout than maybe." Such editors and those who ordered them should be merited, honored anti-heroes who deserve the honor of being placed in the cellars forever, so that the entire humanity would see them afterwards, and see thanks to whom they almost lost their lives. Well, this is fair. Each and everyone should get what they deserve. Why? Because we have very little time left. And at this point, everyone is tested who he is with God, with people, with honor, with conscience, or he's a slave of Satan. Everything is simple, and everything is very honest.
And there is a tremendous chance to change everything, Igor Mikhailovich. In one of the videos we said that there are almost 8 billion of us.
There are already 8 billion of us.
And as of today, there are already more than 8 billion of us. We realize that it's a huge problem for the consumerist format, and it's a tremendous chance, tremendous opportunities, and human potential for changing everything precisely in the creative society.
Right. But for the creative society, these are very few people. What is 8 billion, friends? It is nothing. In the creative society, even 50 billion is too few, because this planet can feed a huge number of people without harming the environment. We must live in symbiosis with this world. Then the world will live in symbiosis with us too, right? So, my friends, we should build the creative society, and I want to say in general that, my friends, it is time to stop being afraid. You should come out of those shadows. You should become angels of light. We need those angels of peace in order to actually build Eden on this planet faster. Remember, we can do this. Remember, and tell others that each of us has the freedom of choice. It is us who choose whether to live or to die. And it depends on each of us what we will choose. On each of us. If we make the right choice, if angels of light prevail in this world, and not the slaves of Satan, the world will be eternal. So friends, let's just love each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Igor Mikhailovich.
Thank you, friends. Thank you for being here.